Hi all, a little bit about how to prune your kale, which is this delightful creature behind me, in order to try to encourage it to perennialize and stay around for a few years. This is a great thing because it means less planting and seeding and work for you. And then also, pre-1600s there are several different types of perennial kales depending on the land area that you're in, so land races of perennial kales, kind of the Shore for England. Then the Portuguese perennial kale, there's a very distinct genetic varietal that Joao Dias, I believe is his name, has done some beautiful work sourcing the genetics on that. And then there are a few other ones like the Jersey walking stick kale, which is a beautiful, huge, tall creature of amazingness. But with all of that, here in the States it's sometimes difficult to find the perennial kales. What we can find sometimes is like what One Green World is offering, which is the Perennial Homesteader Kale Mix, which is this beautiful genetic mashup of some kales and then also with some more biennial collards. So biennial. Most of our kale plants are biennial, which means that they'll grow really well for one season. Then they'll typically overwinter. That cold period during the winter triggers them to be like, aha, this is year 2, this is the year that I shall reproduce. And so they'll start sending out flowers, and then they'll go to seed. And they'll be like, hey, I reproduced, goals achieved, I'm out of here. And then oftentimes they'll die. But if we can interrupt that reproductive cycle, we can keep them around for a few years. This one here is one that I've had for about 5 years now. It's beautiful, and this huge warty growth of this stem, and you can reproduce it vegetatively by taking cuttings, or you can just keep chopping it down and encouraging it to stick around and stay perennial. So here is that perennial kale. It's about 5 years old again here in zone 5. This year it has decided to go to flower. I have been reproducing it both by layering it here. You can see this one, which is a tall stem that is layered. And then also this is one that I have also planted with a dibbler. You can see that it's lost a lot of leaves, but it's still there. It's trundling on, and so I have high hopes that this will be a good kale after this summer. But this, I really would love to keep this huge guy going and stay vegetatively. So what's happened is that after this cold winter, it's triggered it with the lengthening days, and it's like, aha, this is now the perfect time to go to flower because soon all the pollinators will be out and they will help me make a beautiful seed. So here's a little baby flower. It almost looks like a teeny tiny broccoli. And then if we go to this other stem, you can see up here, there's another little baby proto broccoli hiding in there. So what we can do is we can cut off these flowers, and it keeps it from going to seed. And what that does is it shifts the hormone flow, and so the rest of the plant never gets that message of, haha, we have successfully reproduced. And so it'll be like, oh, I guess we're growing vegetatively still. So what we do then is you can come in here to where this is a flowering little bud, and you can just break it off and then poof, add this to your stir fry. With this though, it is to a point where there's so many little proto flowers all over the place that it would take a lot of work to take these all out and to stop them from reproducing all over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one stem, I'm going to follow it down the plant until I get to a point where it's no longer producing a lot of those flower buds. And so up here, you can see this is just all vegetative reproduction, and then it starts going into flowering reproduction up here. Okay. Camera angles are wonky. But if I go down here, much like if you're pruning a tree, you can see this branch is coming out. There's not any little baby flowers in here, so this is a pretty safe bet. Also, this is pointing outwards, and so I'm going to treat it like a tree, and I'm going to cut this stem right here, and then that will promote this to grow out, kind of regain what is called apical dominance. So I'm going to pause because this is going to require 2 hands. Alright, and this is what remains after I went ahead and cut off the tops of all the rest of them. It almost looks like a pollard tree or a coppiced tree, and so with that I have this huge big bundle of kale that some of it I'm going to take off and put into a stir fry, and the rest of it is going to go to my chickens. So you can also do this with the more modern varietals. This is what remains. This is the state of my dazzling blue bed by the end of the winter. It got caught in a windstorm. There's kale sprawled out all over the place, and it is starting to go to flower very strongly. So there's actually a little bit of yellow flowers up there. So what I'm going to do with this bed instead is I'm going to leave some of the ones that are really strongly flowering, like these two big ones right back here, because it seems a shame to take away such amazing bee food right next to my beehives. The pollinators will probably really appreciate it. But some of these other ones that do not exhibit such a strong flowering tendency, I'm going to go ahead and cut back, and hopefully they'll stick around for the winter, or for the summer, and then I won't have to plant more dazzling blue this fall. That'd be handy. Alright. Alright, so that is how to keep your kale as perennial as possible. Also a great way of creating animal forage, and this is actually with the perennial Portuguese kales. There's documentation of that. They utilize and harvest it in this kind of pollarding technique, coppicing technique for livestock feed. So that's really cool, and a way to bring some cool pre-1600s agricultural techniques into our modern lifestyle. Otherwise, hey sweetie, I hope you're having fun, I hope you're well, and I hope you get some dirt under your fingernails. Give this technique a try to keep some kale around for a while. Alright, take care, bye-bye.